Hello, everyone, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us today for the 8th annual meeting of the Innovation for Cool Earth Forum, hosted by the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry and the New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization. This year, due to the impact of the COVID-19, the forum is being held entirely as a virtual meeting. And now we would like to start the opening session. By the way, my name is Kei Fujimoto, and I'll serve as the MC for this session. First of all, we have a message from Mr. Hagiuda Koichi, Minister of Economy, Trade, and Industry, Japan. On behalf of Mr. Hagiuda, Mr. Kishimoto Michihiro, Deputy Director General for International Science, Technology, and Environmental Policy of Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry, would read a message. Mr. Please.
Good afternoon. Hiro Kishimoto, Deputy Director General of METI. At the opening of ICEF 2021, we wished our new minister, Koichi Hagiuda, would have been here to make a speech directly to explain the strong will of the new cabinet to tackle with the climate change and innovation. Unfortunately, a tight schedule of the newly formed cabinet doesn't allow it. I was asked to read his speech on his behalf. 経済産業大臣祝辞を代読させていただきます。
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Koichi Hagiuda, appointed to the Minister of Economy, Trade, and Industry under Kishida Cabinet on October 4th. It is right after my taking office, and so I'm not able to take part in the session, but please allow me to deliver a few words at the opening. I'm very pleased to have ICEF 2021 held today as part of Tokyo Beyond Zero Week. As you all know, Japan has declared to aim for becoming carbon neutral in 2050. We will take on the challenges to achieve this goal and further contribute to the global achievement of carbon neutrality. Now, in our challenge for achieving carbon neutrality, it is important for countries to explore various pathways based on their own situations instead of taking a unified approach. In order to expand the options of those pathways, creation of innovation through R&D efforts will be the key. And we will need to broaden the innovation to the rest of the world. As we seek to deepen this concept, it is quite meaningful and important to organize ICEF 2021 today. The number of international conferences held during Tokyo Beyond Zero Week have increased from last year's 6 to 8 this year, which attests to how serious Japan is toward the goal of carbon neutrality. ICEF is a platform for global leaders in the industry, government, and academia to discuss and disseminate the importance of innovation in energy and environmental fields designed to solve climate change issues. Topics to be taken up will include decarbonization in digital areas, negative emission, and other technologies indispensable to achieve future achievement of carbon neutrality, to discuss diverse pathways to achieve decarbonization. Today, we have the pleasure to welcome a large number of participants with diverse backgrounds from governments, international organizations, industries, and academia around the world. And this year, in each of the sessions, young generations under 35 years of age are also taking part. I strongly hope that there will be the world-leading information dissemination from here in Tokyo. I will also take on the challenge of achieving the goal of carbon neutrality together with all of you. In closing, I would like to thank everyone for their tremendous contribution and wish a great success for the future. And I also wish that this conference will be of a great success. Thank you. The Minister of Economy, Trade, and Industry, Koichi Hagiuda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kishimoto. And next, Mr. Hirose Naoshi, Vice Minister for International Affairs of the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, has entrusted us with his video message.
Good afternoon. I'm Hirose Naoshi, Vice Minister for International Affairs, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. At the opening of ICEF 2021, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all the speakers from all over the world who are participating in this event, despite the time difference. We would also like to thank the steering committee members and staff members who have been working hard to organize this event. In the paradigm shift towards overcoming COVID-19, we are entering an era in which the response to climate change is no longer focused on constraints or cost, but new growth opportunities. In this critical moment, Japan would like to enhance global discussions in this field. Thus, we are holding the Tokyo Beyond Zero Week again this year. This is an initiative that involves a wide range of players and aims to achieve carbon neutrality on a global scale, or even beyond zero, which means reducing CO2 emissions on a stock basis. As a part of the Tokyo Beyond Zero Week, today's ICEF is an important place where global leaders from industry, academia, and government get together and discuss the importance of disruptive innovation, such as technologies, actions, and beyond conventional ideas to achieve decarbonization. In addition, this year, we have young speakers under the age of 35, at least one per each session, who will play a central role in society in 2050. Japan is taking on the challenge of carbon neutrality. Last October, Japan declared the goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. And this April, Japan announced that it would reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 46% in fiscal year 2030. This is a target which is aligned with the long-term goal of net zero by 2050, while continuing strenuous efforts in its challenge to meet the lofty goal of cutting emissions by 50%. As a world-leading manufacturer, Japan would like to lead global discussion. It is important to realize robust growth by steadily implementing concrete measures towards our goal, while creating a virtuous cycle of the economy and the environment. Climate change is a common global challenge, and solutions will require the efforts of the entire world. I consider that three important points need to be taken into account. First, various pathways. Each country has its own pathway to achieving carbon neutrality, one that suits their energy situation and technological capabilities. Secondly, innovation. Technological innovation through research and development will be the key to exploring all types of energy and technology to advance energy transition. And third, engagement. It is important to support emerging countries in the introduction of innovative technologies so that they are not left behind in the transition to a low-carbon society. The government of Japan formulated the Green Growth Strategy last December, and it was further updated this June. With this, we updated policy measures and goals to be achieved in each area and presented benefits to people's lives, in addition to decarbonization effects. Based on the strategy, all available policies will be directed to support these forward-looking challenges faced by companies, such as making bold investments to stimulate innovation. Also, Japan launched a new 2 trillion yen Green Innovation Fund that continuously supports research, development, and demonstration over the next 10 years. We have already started the projects in the hydrogen sector, and we will continue to develop and start projects in other promising fields, such as offshore wind, carbon recycling, fuel ammonia, battery, and digital infrastructure. Furthermore, through international cooperation, we will make efforts to disseminate Japanese technologies, know-how, and measures to the world. Additionally, during Expo 2025 Osaka, Kansai, Japan, as we aim to realize a decarbonized society, the venues of the Expo will become a people's living lab for demonstrating new technologies. We will introduce Japan's technology to the world, such as hydrogen, ammonia power generation, CO2 absorption concrete, and CO2 separation and recovery. Climate change is a difficult challenge for human beings, and it is essential to bring together the wisdom of the world to discover solutions and to open up a new future. We hope that the ICEF will contribute to finding realistic and concrete pathways towards the realization of carbon neutrality and beyond zero. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention. And next, we would like to move on to the Keynote 1. This is a previously recorded dialogue between Dr. Fatih Birol, Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, and Mr. Tanaka Nobuo, Chair of the ICEF Steering Committee.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon in Tokyo time. I'm Nobuo Tanaka, the chairman of the Steering Committee of Innovation for Cool Earth Forum, ICEF. At the opening of this year's ICEF, we are very, very pleased and honored to have Dr. Fatih Birol, the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, IEA, with us today. IEA has become famous and influential in energy market by the strong leadership of Dr. Birol. But now it made a shock wave among oil producers by the recent publication Net Zero by 2050, a roadmap for the global energy sector. IEA was established by the first oil shock in 1974, but this time I can call it the IEA shock in the oil sector. But I mean the very positive sense. What do you think about this hysterical emotional reaction to your net zero publication this year, Mr. Birol?
Thank you very much, Mr. Tanaka, and thank you very much also for inviting me. I should tell you that if IE is so successful today, it is also thanks to your leadership, being our executive director, and I enjoyed very much working with you, working for you as your chief economist, and learn, of course, a lot from you. Thank you very much for all those, Mr. Tanaka. Now, what we have done in May, last May, a few months ago, we made a roadmap for the global energy sector. What we said is that the many governments, European governments, EU, UK, US, Canada, Japan, Korea, China, many governments came up with this net zero commitments. And we said, this is good, but we have to understand what are the implications for the energy sector in order to reach those targets. To set the target is, of course, something, but more important is to make a plan, a roadmap to reach those. And therefore, we have quantified what needs to happen in the energy sector to reach those targets. And we came up with one pathway. There may be different pathways for different countries, of course. And we have seen that this pathway is a very narrow one to reach net zero, but it may be still feasible if we act quickly and international altogether. Now, of course, the emissions today are coming from fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas. You cannot, on one hand, bring the emissions down and at the same time use a lot of fossil fuels. So it is the reason one of the outcomes of our report is that the current oil consumption, which is about 100 million barrels per day, needs to decline significantly in the next 30 years if we were to reach net zero by 2050. And this would mean, as you rightly mentioned, rather a wake-up call for many oil-producing nations. I should have said, in fact, nations whose economies are indexed to oil prices and oil revenues because there will be two things at the same time. One, the oil demand will go down, and the second, price of oil with the demand will go down if the world reaches to net zero target. So therefore, it is in our view, the highest time for the oil producers to diversify their economies and to delink their economies from the oil production and oil exports. So this is one of the many messages coming from our report, Mr. Tanaka.
Thank you, Fatih-san. And especially when you talk about this Middle East and oil producers, I remember that you had a very interesting opinion in The Guardian recently about with the Iraqi deputy prime minister. The path to net zero and security of the world's energy market will both be imperiled if we cannot work together. And I think for these oil producing countries to prevent the stranded assetization of oil and gas, what do you think is the best way for them to achieve or to change?
Thank you, Mr. Tanaka. I am completely in agreement with you. The Middle East countries, not only them, but also Russia and the similar countries need to diversify their economies because it is coming. No country will be unaffected from the clean energy transitions. Everybody. And it is coming. It is not only coming because of the climate change, but many things are happening. Let me give you one example. Mm-hmm. Today in the world, 18 out of 20 largest car companies take the electric cars as the key priority, or hydrogen cars. So different, it means zero emission vehicles are becoming a key priority for many car companies. This would mean, of course, less oil. Many companies, oil companies today, Europeans, are working on the sustainable aviation fuels, so-called synthetic fuels, to replace the jet fuel. This will be coming sooner or later, so it is better for those countries to prepare themselves. I had several discussions with the Iraqi deputy prime minister, who is at the same time the finance minister of Iraq, and we thought we should give a heads up to the several countries in the region. And I can tell you that the reaction we have received from several stakeholders in the Middle East was overwhelming. More information, more suggestions, working together, and from United Arab Emirates to Kuwait, from Kuwait to Qatar, Iraq, Egypt, Algeria, many countries, and they are all aware that they have to diversify their economies. And you are therefore, I completely agree with you, Mr. Tanaka.
Thank you. I mean, Japan is trying to make a kind of, let's say, innovation in the, let's say, hydrogen. So blue hydrogen with CCS from the gas from Middle East may be a good solution, not only for Japan as a user, but for the producer like Iraq or Kuwait or Saudi Arabia or Qatar. I think this kind of say innovation with the hydrogen may be the solution. What is your view about the future of the hydrogen?
So hydrogen is something very important for the IEA because during the G20 presidency of Japan, Prime Minister Abe asked the IEA to come up with the hydrogen handbook for the world. First, the status of the hydrogen, where are we, how much the cost should come down, and this became a reference book for many working on that. And Mr. Tanaka, both you and me work on the energy issues since several years. I have never seen any energy technology which enjoys the support of everybody. Because in the energy world, in nuclear, some people like, some people dislike. Wind energy, some people like, some dislike. Gas is the same. But when it comes to hydrogen, everybody loves hydrogen. So this is very interesting. And of course, the energy world has to find always some points to debate. This time, the debate within the hydrogen, what kind of hydrogen, which color of hydrogen. For us, the important thing is to make sure that the hydrogen is providing clean and secure energy. And the important thing is here to create a demand for hydrogen and also bring the cost down. And in my view, the cost of hydrogen, especially the electrolyzers that we need to use in the process of hydrogen, the cost of electrolyzers today there where solar was 10 years ago. So thanks to the innovation, government support, such as the one coming from Japan, we may well see that the cost of hydrogen will come down and hydrogen will belong to our energy system as a cornerstone of our global energy markets.
Very good. Thank you very much. Let me share some slide with you, Fatih-san. This is what Douglas Mill talk about the speed of the transformation. And coal took 60 years to become 50% of the energy sector. Oil took 60 years to become 40%, and gas 25%. So the transformation is taking more and more longer time. But IEA's Net Zero 2050 is promoting much faster transition, and this is very, very tough. Certainly, I would say ICEF is promoting innovation, but do you think innovation you mentioned also can really deliver this fast transition in the coming years?
So thank you very much for this question, Mr. Tanaka. You are completely right. When we look at the history of energy, transition from wood to coal, from coal to oil, gas, renewables, nuclear, it took a long time. But you are completely right that in our net zero roadmap, we see a much faster penetration of the clean energy technologies and much bolder. The difference between the past, what we have seen, and what we think it is necessary is we have an urgency of climate now. We have an urgent challenge that we have to find a solution to, and we are seeing the impact of climate crisis everywhere in terms of the extreme weather events, and the scientists, overwhelming body of the scientists around the world tell us that we are going to see much frequent extreme weather events, and the intensity of those extreme weather events will be even stronger and stronger. Therefore, we have a race against the time here. And it is the reason the innovation is critical. We can do a lot of work with the existing technologies, such as solar, wind, efficiency, electric cars, the nuclear power, but this is not enough. We need innovation and new advanced technologies to be part of the solution, from advanced battery technologies to carbon capture technologies, from those different hydrogen applications. And here we will understand how serious the governments are. If the governments are serious, they really have to push the research and development in their own countries, and which hopefully will end up with giving a boost to innovation. And therefore, we can have those clean energy technologies, which are not yet part of the market, but under development becomes part of the market. So we have to accelerate the pace of transition as a result of accelerated innovation policies in the countries. One final thing, perhaps, Mr. Tanaka, it is extremely important that this innovation efforts are benefiting from international collaboration among the countries. If there's such an international collaboration, it will also help to gain time and accelerate the process. Thank you.
I fully agree with you. And especially, I want to share another chart with you. I think this is the quote from your net zero by 2050 publication. And if international cooperation is low or less than expected, it takes more years. 2090 is a year which net zero emission may happen. So I fully agree that international collaboration is most important. And I think IEA can contribute a lot to this. What are you expecting the IEA will do for promote this international collaboration, especially emerging countries like India or China?
So, Mr. Tanaka, we have, after we publish our global net zero roadmap, we have been contacted by many countries to help them build their national roadmap to net zero. And these are important countries. For example, we are soon coming up with a report for China, how China can be carbon neutral, as President Xi Jinping suggested, and even how we can even do it, accelerate that process. Indonesian government wrote to IEA to prepare together with them a net zero roadmap for Indonesia, going from a coal-based country to a net zero country. Or Chile or Colombia, many countries are asking us, our work is now to make sure that those countries, emerging countries, as well as the developed countries, have their own roadmap. And without having the roadmap and the milestones, a plan, the target itself for 2050 only may be a matter of rhetoric, but not a real destination to go.
You think, Fatih-san, this international collaboration is always very narrow path. And you mentioned that there are many different pathways for the decarbonization. And I think IEA's knowledge and expertise is very, very important to make this transition happen. Do you have any particular request or a recommendation or a message to the ICEF or to Japan? Because many audience are Japanese and they are very keen to know what's the IEA's view about Japan's contribution to the net zero emission.
I think Japan made already a very clear commitment to 2050 net zero. But of course, when I compare Japan with some other countries who made such commitments, I see that Japan, for example, when it comes to renewable energy and the land availability, Japan has a lot of challenges that we should all acknowledge that. Or another word, energy efficiency. Japan is already one of the most energy efficient countries in the world. So the room for clean energy technologies in Japan are not the same like other developed countries. But when we look at the history of energy of Japan, we have been always positively surprised that Japan always came up with innovation, new technologies. This can be hydrogen, this can be ammonia, this can be a safe use of nuclear power. There are many different new technologies, and I have all trust that the Japanese policymakers will come up with the right technologies and the honor the commitment the Japanese government made to reach net zero by 2050. And in terms of ICEF, if I can say one thing, because ICEF has a lot of stakeholders, personalities, I think ICEF's contribution to enhance the international collaboration for clean energy would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fatih-san, for your very nice words about us. And you mentioned about the nuclear. This will be the very, very big issue for when we discuss about the future of the energy in Japan. Small modular reactor or flexible nuclear, or even nuclear can produce hydrogen with the technology. So I think in a way, we need to innovate the policies. Innovation policy, technological innovation policies everywhere. We have lots, but we need to innovate the policy itself for the future. That is probably the conclusion of our discussion. And I wish you great luck for your work towards Glasgow's COP26 this year. And I will see you, hope to see you again in the ministerial meeting in the next February. And
thank you very much, Mr. Tanaka.
Joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It will be a great honor to see you again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatih-san. Bye-bye.